Slave, soldier, spy. Daisuke's heart has always wandered far from home, hoping for a life beyond what he'd have as a northern nomad raised in slavery. One evening, when he learns the Gyahatio's imperial military has arrived in search of recruits, he seizes his chance to flee Okara's plantations and start anew. However, becoming a foot soldier isn't the easy escape he expected, and he soon finds himself struggling for a place within the infantry and Gyahatian society. Obito knows he should be grateful for the opportunity to serve as one of the Empire's elite intelligence operatives, Yonmitsu. It's one of few he'll ever have in life, and the highest possible honor for a nobleman's youngest son. But with demons of anger and shame haunting him as he tries to pick up the pieces in the aftermath of a scandal, any pride to take in rank or family name is entirely hollow. When an act of mercy is born from a senseless murder, the already unlikely friendship between Daisuke and Obito takes an unexpected turn. Not only are they now partnered together as Onmitsu, but dark politics are on the rise, leading them towards an ancient, furious magic. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today's video, as you might have been able to figure out by now, is going to be another book review. Only the book in question this time is an advanced read copy, or ARC. And the ARC in question is of... wait just a minute. Dance of Demons. The first book of the Poison and Opium series, first and so far only, written by Alyssa Lossing. Because aside from my commitment to reading the Demon Storm series, it turns out the people at Shadow Spark Publishing had other plans that I decided to involve myself with, and I'm completely fine with that because I very much trust this this publisher's artistic integrity, so to speak, given they are very much author owned and author run. Aside from that, however, Alyssa is one of the first people who were who are connected to Shadow Spark, who I also came in touch with before I even knew Shadow Spark existed. So it was quite likely that I would eventually get to her bibliography as well. Though to be honest, I thought it would, I thought my first point of contact with it would be through her first series, the Keeper trilogy. Except as it turns out, life decided to do something a little bit different. Anyway, my connection to the to the author aside, what can I say about this book? Well, the summary, or the too long didn't watch TLDW of this review is there is plenty to say about this book, and most of it is quite positive. It manages to weave a lot of a lot of content between its between its pages, presenting a presenting a world and a setting that is rich in both elements and contrasts, showcasing a world of tension, and also organically building the conflict that is bound to emerge within this series' future. That being said, this book isn't just a checklist. There is plenty of attention and care given to given by Alyssa in order to facilitate an understanding between or a relationship between audience and characters, as well as establishing exactly what the conflict moving forward is going to entail. So if you're on the lookout for the hot new Far East inspired young adult fantasy, it is quite likely that this will be the first step towards that. And now that I've covered some general impressions, it's time I delved into some specifics. The plot of this book follows two lead characters, both of whom are in their early teens. Daisuke, a rebellious, brash, and boisterous boy who was born into slavery but manages to flee the plantation where he was raised, and Obito, a child of nobility who is comparatively more even-tempered, more mild-mannered, who keeps to himself and strives for quiet excellence in that which he tries in whatever he tries to accomplish. If you're getting some Red Ranger, Blue Ranger vibes, or Naruto and Sasuke, or Ichigo and Ishida, or really any other shonen-esque protagonist and deuteragonist vibes off of these two, I am pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure these vibes are deliberate. Through a series of circumstances, these two guys end up working together, and one mission they find themselves assigned to ends up having some very dangerous repercussions moving forward. This book is primarily told from the perspective of these two characters, starting with Daisuke and then going to Obito, and then switching back and forth between them, with the occasional intermission told from various other characters, some of whom are to some extent at least connected to these main two. All of these other perspectives do a great job at showcasing the rest of the setting and laying the groundwork for the conflict of this for the emergent conflict of this new series, which is basically a succession crisis backed by some powerful nobles and rich business owners, some of whom have no problem summoning the supernatural in order to aid them in their quest. It takes a while to really bring all of the elements necessary to present the plot within the story, but the author knows how to take her time and introduce them in a manner that is both eloquent and captivating. It is very naturalistic and very entertaining to follow. One point where I think some readers will find something to grumble about is that the story has a little bit of an that the story is very obviously built to be that this book is very obviously built to be the first in a series, and therefore doesn't have the same narrative hooks or act divisions that a typical book would have. So in that sense, there are perhaps a little bit more setups than there are payoffs overall, which I imagine might lead to some readers constantly expecting the other shoe to drop, only to find that it is bound to. I don't know how they will handle that level of maybe not catfishing, but it might come across as that. Regardless, while I recognize that as a possibility, I have to say that Alyssa does a great job at mitigating that possibility by utilizing that page time she has available, with building up with establishing the world around the story. One point, and that is quite obvious when looking at her characterization, because while it could be argued that this book has somewhat of a slower or more meandering or less deliberate pace, which is something I typically have issue with, I don't have an issue with this book because it knows how to balance that with characterization, and it manages to showcase who a lot of the characters actually are. What their goals are, what they struggle with, how they seek to seek to accomplish whatever it is they want to accomplish, how they respond in a in a variety of different situations, etc. There aren't really a lot of large setup and payoffs situations set up, but smaller ones are done are executed quite effectively and do present an interesting tableau when it comes to this book's cast. Not every character within this book will really stand out to the same degree. However, I will say that the resulting tableau is both very naturalistic and quite harmonious. You can very likely believe that all of these people exist together within this setting as they are presented. Another point I think is done quite well, if even though it could potentially benefit from being fleshed out a little bit more, is actually the world building. There are some pretty good things about it, particularly the power structures that the main duo have to interact with, and also there's plenty of insight given into the various traditions and habits that the characters within the setting experience. I'm primarily talking about festivals and stuff like that, and also whether or not various regions have some specific foods or clothing or other elements of that nature. It's small, but it's welcome. The one thing that really stands out, however, within this tableau is the attention given to the resulting social interplay. How exactly Alyssa constructs the constructs the framing for her conflict, and how she defines the major players involved within it, thereby giving the story something more something grittier, something more direct to to allow it to hook in its audience. and also the aspects of the supernatural that are presented are quite interesting as well, even though they are somewhat incomplete. So when it comes to the next book, that is one thing I'm very much looking forward to learning more about, especially since it's started as somewhat of a big deal, and I'm really curious to see just how much influence, just how much power that this threat will really poses to the how much of a threat this really poses to the story. So yeah, overall, even though there are some points where I think some of the elements it presents are presented in an uneven manner, this book nevertheless is a solid, dependable foundation for an immersive and captivating future series. My final rating for Dance of Demons is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If you have anything to add, either to the book itself, when it comes out, or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a second channel where you can hear me talking about whatever crosses my mind, though I'll typically still be doing narrative analyses, but for works outside of the printed word medium. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on the printed word medium, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog of book reviews, writing advice, and miscellaneous connected topics. If that doesn't interest you either, then I can only suggest that you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yet, that was it from me. So until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.